There's a big difference between being an older guy who turns heads and one who makes women quietly cringe. You've seen both. There's the silver-haired guy at the barcom, confident, effortlessly magnetic to younger women. And then, there's the other kind, the one who's clearly trying too hard, oblivious to how awkward he comes across. This isn't about appearance. It never is. It's about your presence, your energy, and yourself. Because nothing kills attraction faster for a younger woman than an older man putting on an act, trying to be what he thinks she wants instead of standing firm in who he really is. So, if you've ever noticed that younger women seem interested at first but quickly drift away, odds are you're falling into one of these 7 traps, and the worst part, you might not even know it. Let's dive in. Habit 1. Acting young instead of embracing your age. Few things turn a younger woman off faster than an older man desperately clinging to his youth. You've seen the type wearing teen sneakers, using outdated slang, or referencing TikTok trends like he's part of Gen Z when he's really just following a how to relate to younger people list. Here's the reality. You're not 25 anymore, and that's not only okay, it's your strength. Because younger women aren't drawn to older men in hopes of finding another 25-year-old. They're looking for what younger guys lack: stability, experience, and a man who knows who he is. The second you start copying youth culture, you lose the one thing that makes you stand out. Maturity. Picture this. You walk into a bar and spot a guy in his 40s wearing a backward cap, oversized hoodie, and sneakers worth more than his rent. He's dropping phrases like no cap or FRRR. Does that read as youthful or just off? Look at Sean Connery in his 60s. He wasn't trying to look 25. He owned his age and looked damn good doing it. A man who leans into his maturity earns respect. A man who fights it, he just looks desperate. Here's the fix. Want to be more attractive as an older guy? Stop chasing youth. Start elevating yourself. Opt for timeless style over fleeting trends. Forget Gen Z slang. Be articulate. Thoughtful words land stronger than any buzzword ever could. Don't force yourself into young environments. Build a space of your own that younger women want to step into. Because truthfully, younger women aren't looking for a man still searching for his identity. They're drawn to one who's already found it. Habit 2. Flashing your wealth like it's a personality. Let's be honest, money can be attractive. It represents success and stability. But start flaunting it. You've just turned it into a red flag. Younger women don't mind that you have money. They mind when you act like that's all you bring to the table. There's a difference between having wealth and using it as a crutch for insecurity. And trust me, women can spot that from across the room. What it looks like: a guy in his late 40s on a date with a younger woman. Within 10 minutes, he's named 3 luxury restaurants, dropped the make of his Porsche, and mentioned his Rolex. She might smile politely, but inside, she's clocked out. Why? Because instead of seeing a confident man, she sees someone shouting, "Please be impressed." Real confidence doesn't need a spotlight. It shows up in your presence, your composure, your lifestyle. If you're rich and feel the need to constantly remind people, you're projecting lack, not abundance. Habit 3. Turning bitterness about dating into a personality. Nothing makes a younger woman lose interest quicker than an older man who sounds jaded by the dating world. You've heard him, always complaining about how modern women are entitled, reminiscing about how things used to be, or blaming social media for everything. Sure, maybe there's truth in some of it, but the second you start ranting, you stop sounding wise and start sounding old. Why it backfires. When you complain about women, you send 3 messages. You feel powerless in dating. You're holding on to bitterness. You blame instead of adapting. There's nothing less appealing than a man who sees himself as a victim of the world. Women, especially younger ones, aren't put off by your age. They're put off when your attitude makes you seem stuck in it. Habit 4. Getting controlling without realizing it. There's a saying, the tighter you grip, the quicker something slips away. And that's never more true than in relationships. Younger women don't dislike older men. They dislike older men who treat them like possessions. A confident man makes her feel wanted. A controlling one, trapped. What's dangerous is how subtle it starts. Text me when you get there. Who's going out with you? You're wearing that. At first it seems like concern, but then it morphs into control. Why didn't you answer my call? I don't want you around those friends. I don't trust other guys near you. Suddenly, what started as attraction becomes suffocation. Why it happens? Many older men don't start out controlling. It's something life teaches. A brutal breakup, being blindsided, seeing younger guys as competition. These experiences can lead men to guard rather than trust. But here's the hard truth. When you try to control her, you're not protecting the relationship, you're choking it. Habit 5. Talking down to her like she's a child. This one's a silent killer. The older man who confuses life experience with license to lecture. It happens without thinking. She shares something she just discovered: a book, an idea, a topic she's passionate about, and instead of listening, he corrects her. "Oh, that's cute. I knew that years ago." You don't really get how that works yet. That attitude doesn't just kill attraction, it disrespects her intelligence. Here's why it backfires. While older men might feel their teacher role adds value, how they deliver it matters most. You can either be the man who makes her feel smaller, the one who lifts her up, one turns her off, the other draws her closer. Habit 6. Dressing like you've given up. Let's be real, attraction is visual. It doesn't matter how smart or accomplished you are. If you look like you rolled out of bed, you've already lost ground. And a lot of older men fall into this trap. They stop trying. They think, I'm too old to care. If she likes me, it shouldn't be about clothes. But here's the brutal truth. A man who doesn't care for himself reads as a man who won't care for her either. You don't need to dress like a 25-year-old infant. Just don't dress like someone who's quit on life. Why it happens? Maybe he was in a long relationship where he didn't have to try. Maybe he's reached career success and thinks status is enough. Maybe he just got comfortable. But comfort is attraction's worst enemy. Women do love older men, but they also love men who try. Look at George Clooney, Idris Elba, or Pierce Brosnan. These guys aren't chasing youth. They've refined their style, embraced maturity, and carry themselves with self-respect. That's what stands out. Habit 7. Acting like you've got it all figured out. One of the most off-putting traits. Acting like you're the smartest person in the room. Many older men fall into this without realizing it. They assume their experience gives them the final say on everything. But women don't want a lecturer, they want a listener. Here's the line. When she's talking about something she loves, a passion, an idea, a goal, does your response lift her or dismiss her? The wrong man says, actually, that's not how it works. You're too young to really get it. In his mind, he's being helpful. But to her, it sounds like condescension. Why it fails. Constant correction sends one loud message. I don't respect your mind. And no woman, young or not, wants to feel that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being an older man. Dating a younger woman, when done right, it can be exciting, healthy, and deeply rewarding. But if you fall into these traps, getting, controlling, showing insecurity, lecturing, or letting yourself go, you're setting yourself up to fail. You don't have to be young to be magnetic. You just need to be a man who values himself. A man who gives her space instead of smothering her. A man who listens instead of preaching. A man who sharpens himself instead of slipping into comfort. Do that, and whether you're 40, 50, or 60, she'll be drawn to you.